After not being able to get Trevor Bauer, there are still some other players out there. If the Mets were willing to offer Trevor Bauer $40 million, they have plenty of money to spend. So in this video, what we're going to do is look at the players that are still out there, what are the latest rumors and reports of who the Mets are linked to, and what kind of fit could they have with the team, and what would be the way to close out the offseason. If you guys like this video, going over multiple different players and just other areas for the entire team, make sure to leave a like, comment down below what players would like to see the Mets go after, and try to be realistic, not somebody like Jose Ramirez who's going to cost a ton. He's gonna have barely any farm system left. Try to be realistic with players that you think the Mets could end up signing. And then if you want to do something nice, you can hit subscribe. Makes my day. I really appreciate all the support, and I love talking to you guys in the comment section. So let's talk about what the offseason plan could and should be. Now we're gonna start off with the bench, and the guy I want to talk about first is Marwyn Gonzalez, who the Mets have some interest in. There are around a half dozen teams that have interest in Marwyn Gonzalez, so he will not be an easy get. But Marwyn Gonzalez is somebody that could provide a lot of value. While his batting average wasn't great in 2020, having a 211 average, in 2019 he had a 264 average with 15 home runs. And for a guy that's going to be on your bench, that's good because Marwyn Gonzalez is a switch hitter. Marwyn Gonzalez plays just about everywhere in the field, and in a 162 game season in the National League with COVID and potential contact tracing and double headers and things like that, not all of your position players are going to be able to start every day. So on those days off, or if somebody gets injured, you want to have somebody that can fill in and be a competent starter, not somebody that's an all-star, but someone that if they needed to start, you wouldn't have that much of a drop-off in your lineup. And Marwyn Gonzalez could definitely do that. Some other utility players to consider, we've talked about them before, but Ashuel Cabrera, he's still out there, and he wasn't great in 2020 either, but in 2019 when the Nationals acquired him, he had a 323 average, and overall finished the season with 91 runs driven in, and he was a good Met, and maybe since Sandy's in charge and not Brody, maybe they could get him back. Another guy that really intrigues me is Danny Santana. I know he had a 145 average, but that was only in 15 games. When you look at 2019, Danny Santana had a 283 average and hit 28 home runs as another guy who plays all over the field. That is so much value. I mean, are you willing to put more stock into 2 weeks into an entire 162 game season? There has been hardly any traction with Danny Santana. We don't hear any rumors or teams linked to him, so I feel like if you could get him on a pretty cheap deal, I think it's definitely something that is worth considering. The other bench player that would be nice to have, he's not a utility guy, but Adam Duval. He hit 16 home runs with the Atlanta Braves last year, plays an alright left field, but still that's some extra power that you could have off the bench that is no longer on the Atlanta Braves. So he definitely could help out this team every now and then, having a right-handed hitting outfielder, because when the Mets face lefties, they have all these left-handed hitting outfielders. Yes, you could put Almora out there in center, but he doesn't give you much offense. Someone like Adam Duval can hit home runs. The next position I want to focus on is third base, because we know that Sandy Alston has not necessarily given JD Davis glowing reviews, and according to LNB Network, that is the one position the Mets do not have a top 10 offensive player. So third base is a position to look at. Someone's name that is being brought up a lot by Mets fans is Justin Turner, and I understand why, because he had a really good year in 2020 with a 307 batting average, but Justin Turner is 36 years old, and he's looking for a multi-year deal. So are you comfortable paying Justin Turner at 38, potentially 39? Eventually, Justin Turner has to go on the decline, and his defense is only going to get worse, and he's never been a tremendous defender. At least JD Davis showed some improvement in 2020 compared to 2019, and is still young, so I don't think that Justin Turner should be the Mets' main priority right now. If the Mets wanted to make a true upgrade at third base, the trade market is much more appealing with guys like Chris Bryant or Eugenio Suarez. Now, both of those are unlikely because earlier, before the Mets got Lindor, the Cubs were asking for Francisco Alvarez, which is just not happening. I am not trading Francisco Alvarez. Also, there's a recent report that it kind of looks like the Cubs want to keep Chris Bryant and just play the season with the team that they have. And for Suarez, we haven't heard any rumors in weeks of the Reds wanting to do any kind of trade, whether it's with the Mets or another team. So I don't see those trades as realistic, although they could help out a lot. The next position we want to move to is center field, because although the Mets signed Albert Almora, they might not necessarily be done in center field. If there is a DH, Jackie Bradley Jr. is a very realistic possibility. If not, he is not a possibility, because since he is a Scott Boras client, his asking price is way too high. I don't want to go over 2 years for Jackie Bradley, and as far as the AAV, I don't want to go over $12 million, and he wants more than 2 years, and they're definitely looking for more than $12 million, so as of right now, that's not a deal that I would be comfortable making. Kevin Pillar is still out there, but he's not likely because, again, you want defense in center field, and Alberto Almora is a better defensive center fielder than Kevin Pillar, so he just doesn't really make too much sense for what this team is trying to do right now. Now, here's the important part, the pitching, both starting pitchers and relievers. We'll start with starting pitching first, and the guys that are out there, it's obvious, but we know the veterans: Odorizzi, Paxton, Arrieta, Rich Hill, Julio Teheran, Anibal Sanchez. Now, the Mets have had some level of interest in pretty much all of these starting pitchers by at least seeing most of their showcases. Jake Odorizzi is going to cost a pretty decent amount, so we'll see if they're able to get him. Other teams are interested in Odorizzi. It wouldn't surprise me if the Mets got outbid, because they've gotten outbid multiple times this offseason. Paxton is a guy that's on a downward trend coming off an injury. Doesn't look like the Mets are too in on him. Jake Arrieta, though, I don't understand why the Mets are interested in Arrieta. He is having a worse year after year, so he's only going to get worse. He's getting older, so I really just don't understand why the interest is there. He is not my first choice as far as starting pitcher. Like, even though Rich Hill is over 40 now, I would much rather have Rich Hill, because at least Rich Hill has been good the past couple of years. I would rather have a pitcher that's putting up good numbers instead of somebody that's getting worse each year. Julio Teheran, Anibal Sanchez, they're out there, but will the Mets sign them? Maybe. I feel like that would be later on. Like, if they can't get some of these other guys, maybe they'll pivot to them. But the guy I still want the Mets to sign is Taijuan Walker, because again, he's just younger than these guys, so he has more upside. I've said it a million times, but these guys, their best years are behind them. See what you have in Taijuan Walker, and it just blows my mind that the Mets don't look interested in him. And I really do not understand why. I don't understand why you would have more interest in these older guys than somebody like Taijuan Walker. It really goes away from the philosophy that the Mets have had all offseason with getting young starting pitching, getting guys like Joey Lucchesi and Jordan Yamamoto. Those are young pitchers with some upside. Taijuan Walker fits that bill, so I don't understand why now you would just change your approach and now go for these older guys. It makes no sense to me. The bullpen is an area the Mets could definitely still use some more help in. The Mets are really relying on Edwin Diaz to have a really good season like he did in 2020, and there's still going to be plenty of outings from guys like Betances and Familia and Brock and Castro and who knows who else. So I just think that having a couple more established relievers would really help out this team. Now, the guys that stand out to me is Mark Malanson, who had a 2.78 ERA with the Braves. Yasmero Petit, who had a 1.66 ERA. He's a guy that's been an established reliever for a very long time. Yes, he's getting up there in age, but year after year, Petit has been a solid reliever, which is something you can't take for granted, because we know relievers can be good one year, bad the next year. So if you have somebody like Petit who is good every year, I feel like he's someone you should really consider. Shane Green had 2.60 ERA with the Braves. Jeremy Jeffries, he had a 1.54 ERA, but he's someone that has good years and bad years, so he would be a little risky. Trevor Roosevelt is the guy that stands out the most to me. He had a great 2020. I hope he's not looking for a closer role, because if he is, the Mets won't give it to him. Nobody could have the closer role besides Mariano Diaz. So hopefully Roosevelt is looking for a role kind of in the middle of games, late in games. He really could help out this team if he has another year like 2020. And the last guy I would take a look at is Keon Keala, because he only pitched in 3 games of 2020, but in 2019, he had a 2.12 ERA, and he's only 27 years old. Like some of these other guys, like I mentioned, Malanson, Petit, they're older. So again, I would rather go for the young guys that have more upside. So those are the players that are still out there that I personally highlighted. Let me know who you guys would consider, especially as far as free agents. And until the next one, be safe, be smart, be healthy, and let's go Mets!